Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Today, most dealerships are aware of the variable aspects in reconditioning, in particular, the visible aspects, the paint, the mechanics, the detailing. Yet there is an invisible asset in every trade in that's happening at your dealership. It's increasingly valuable. And here to talk about that today is Waverly Burt. He's with a company called Privacy4Cars. Waverly, welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Ted, thanks for having us. We really appreciate the opportunity and look forward to the discussion today.
You know, when you and I first talked, I knew in the first couple seconds, I understood instantly what you were talking about with this privacy for cars. So I want to kind of have you take us through that today because this is a tremendous opportunity for dealers. So, Waverly, if it's okay, let's start at the beginning. What is privacy for cars?
Yeah, great question and great place to start, Ted, because most people haven't heard of us, right? So here at Privacy4Cars, we specialize in vehicle data privacy solutions for dealerships, for OEMs, and other automotive businesses. And at our company, we really have two main products. The first product is a very simple, easy to understand data disclosure, which explains the information that is found inside of cars, what they collect, and how that information is used. Our second product is a tool that will properly and efficiently remove the driver and passenger personal data from the vehicles. Okay, our solutions are they're very valuable for dealerships that handle trade-ins, used cars, service owners, body shops, because it really reduces the potential liability that's related to the personal data that's left inside these vehicles, Ted.
You know, all of us, Waverly, are concerned about privacy. You know, we get a new phone every few years, and before we go ahead and trade the phone in, we're sure to delete all of our data in there and, the SIM card and make sure that we send it back without that information. Yet there's a lot of low-hanging fruit here, and it's in the cars that we drive. So talk to us about that. Is this a compliance type thing?
A great question, Ted. So this started off as compliance, but then we quickly realized that privacy is actually something that customers really do want. We consider privacy being a hidden asset in every single trading vehicle that comes to the dealerships. The key to view customer privacy not as a compliance burden, but really as a value added service that customers actually want and they're willing to pay for it, most importantly. Now, our data deletion solution is simple. You delete the person's data out of the car when they trade it in, and then we give them a certificate of deletion to prove the who, the what, and when of the work. And then you charge a fee for it. Pretty simple. And on top of these new services, you can use marketing, you can use privacy as a marketing differentiator. Our dealerships promote themselves as privacy care dealerships, and they give their customers a reason to shop with their dealership over competitors who don't offer privacy services today.
Waverly, this has been not talked about up until now, but when you think about it, every dealer has dozens of vehicles, hundreds of vehicles coming in and out of the service drive, being purchased, being traded, bought at the auction. This is going on every day, every week, every month. What kind of personal data are you talking about? And, what are you deleting specifically?
So think about everything that makes your car convenient, like your previous call logs, your text messages, your contacts, your home address, your navigation history, right? Garage door codes, password information, biometric data, and so much more, Ted. I mean, having this information plugged into your car makes it incredibly convenient when you're in control of the car. However, it makes for a big security risk when you're not in the car, when you dispose of the vehicle. I mean, nearly your whole life can be in that car, Ted, and everything that's on your phone can be inside your vehicle. And you would never trade, you mentioned a few minutes, you never actually trade in your cell phone without making sure the data was wiped off of it. That would never happen. But cars are even worse because they're not password protected. And that data is not even encrypted. It's just sitting in that car for the next driver to find it. And I'm sure that you've been inside of rental cars, or you've been on a test drive, or you get in the vehicle and you see other people's information in there. It happens every single day. And that's not just a poor customer experience, it's a personal risk. That's why customers are willing to pay to have the data properly wiped when they trade in the car. And they want proof that it's done, but also done properly, Ted. And that's what we're able to provide.
Waverly, you're the first company, first person I've heard talking about this. It's been, as I mentioned earlier, unspoken until now, but you're right. You pick up a loaner vehicle, you go to rent a car, and you could see the previous customer, you could see their their contacts, where they've been, the destinations, and all that. And you're right, it's not password protected. It's out there in the open. So how is the first of all, is this available now? And how are you seeing this offered inside the dealership?
So the short answer is, Ted, yes, it is available now. Dealers can sign up for the services now. We have our dealerships today offer data deletion services at a number of different points.
Okay.
Most commonly, we see it as part of the reconditioning process, right? So when a car comes in, it's a part of the reconditioning fee that's added onto the repair order. But it may need new tires, may need new brakes, may need new windshields. Then you'll have a line item on that repair order for the data deletion services. So that's one area. Lease returns, they can be a charge to the auto finance company since they're the ones that have the relationship and they own the vehicle. That's another way. For loaner vehicles, you can charge a small fee when that vehicle comes back in to those customers that got those loaner vehicles out. In the case of a total loss, you can charge your insurance company to delete the data before the information is for the car is actually scrapped. Or a lot of times, Ted, you may have a vehicle that may be a total loss. However, the radio might be fine. The rest of the car may be damaged. So if the radio can be repurposed, even more of a reason why you want to make sure that information is removed from that radio before it's put into another vehicle.
So
Those are some.
the areas you're mentioning here, okay, in the reconditioning process, used vehicles, lease returns, loaner vehicles, um, vehicles that are written off for a total loss. So there's a different process for doing this. How how do dealers position this? You know, in the past we've seen things like service pickup and delivery, and we've wondered, do dealers charge for it or not? What are you seeing out there?
So it really all depends. It's not a one size fits all. Some dealerships offer this service as a free service because they see privacy services as really a competitive advantage and as a way to boost their own reputation and build trust with their own customers, right? Offering someone a certificate of deletion, it's a tangible way to show your own trustworthiness. So it's not just taking my word for it. Trust me, we did it in the back, behind the curtains type of thing, right? You're showing them your actual brand reputation. And yes, we do have some dealerships that do charge for it. And the reality is, most customers are willing to pay a reasonable fee because it's important to them. And the dealerships that are charging, Ted, they're seeing anywhere between a 4 to 10x ROI when they do charge for the service.
Waverly, that car has all the information. Okay. It knows everything about me. Like you said, even garage door codes, biometric information. It's now the car's it's a computer. Okay. And like I mentioned, up until now, no one's been talking about this. And what kind of response are you seeing out there in the marketplace?
We're seeing a great response, Ted, overall. And to your point, I mean, we are the only company in the world that does this.
Okay.
But the response that we've been receiving has been very receptive because most people, Ted, simply don't think about it, right? It's out of sight, it's out of mind with all the other things that dealerships are doing when it comes to reconditioning or just the process from buying a car or trading a vehicle in. There's already a lot of different steps. And this just happens to be one that's often overlooked. In fact, 4 out of 5 cars, Ted, are resold while still containing the information of the previous customer. Is it malicious? No, I don't think it's malicious. It's just one thing, although an important thing that often gets overlooked, Ted. And that's the unfortunate part.
And as a consumer, you're right. Someone out there driving the car next with all my information, that doesn't make me feel comfortable. But
That's
you've
true.
actually thought this process out. You've got a disclosure to the customer. Is this hard for the dealership to get started and to do?
It's not hard at all, Ted. In fact, anyone at the store can do it. It's not very technical. Our application is very easy to use. We can clear any vehicle in on average of 90 seconds or less, Ted.
So Waverly, what's your outlook on all of this? Where does what's next? Where does this go?
So I'll say two things, Ted. One is a short term, and the other is a long term outlook. In the short term, we are facing a tougher economy where every deal counts. Used car prices are going up. There's a lot of mystery right now around the tariffs and how that's going to affect our industry and what's coming. Nobody really knows. We have to kind of wait and see how it all plays out. But we do know that prices will go up and prices will be affected in some way. The other thing we know is that about 70% of buyers have trade-ins, but dealers only get about a third of them. That means that most people are taking their old cars somewhere else. Okay. So here's a simple strategy to increase your trade-in capture rate. Offer personal data deletion services on all potential trade-ins. You can get people in the door by marketing. Bring your vehicle in for a free privacy protection service, and we'll clear all your personal data for free, even if you trade somewhere else, in essence, right? And by making privacy protection a core part of the value proposition, Ted, you create meaningful differentiation that helps capture, retain, and secure more trade-ins for your customers. Long term, in the long term, I'll say this, vehicle privacy is rapidly growing from a nice to have into more of a must have. Okay. There's a great Wayne Gretzky quote that applies here. And he said that I don't go where the puck is, I go where the puck is going. Right. And customer privacy awareness is growing. So where is the market going? Vehicle privacy is not just a compliance issue. Customers are demanding it. And for the dealerships that have taken the steps to operationalize it and offer these services, it's becoming a genuine competitive advantage for those dealerships. And while I know we have another, event scheduled later this year, Ted, where I'll dive into deeper and how dealerships are using our services as a marketing strategy, to drive more business to the dealership. But for those listening who can't wait till the next session I have with you, Ted, they can contact me at privacy4cars.com/dealers, or they'll find the link to schedule with me there, Ted.
So Waverly, you're not just performing the service, you're informing the customer, providing a certificate. So you're really, you're really doing some marketing in here as well, and you're really elevating the if you will, the trade-in or the reconditioning process to a whole new level, because everyone's going to want to make sure that they've got their privacy, got their information removed now when they move into another vehicle.
That's correct, Ted. This is to your point. It's not just about deleting the data from the cars. It is about bringing the awareness to both the customers, bringing the awareness to the dealerships, right? And creating a complete marketing strategy around how you do that. And that's what we're able to provide. So outside of just deleting the data, it's how do you market what you're doing using third-party validation to prove what you're doing is correct and you're doing it the right way. And then we have a lot of different ways to market that.
And since you've been doing it for a while, um, it's probably a part of the process where data could be missed. Okay, but you make sure that all of this is captured and removed. Do you want to speak to that? Because you're in this business, and I'm sure you've made all the mistakes before. But you want to make sure that everything is wiped clean from that vehicle.
You do want to make sure everything is right, clean, Ted. And to your point, we've gone through the legwork, if you will. We spent several years building out our proprietary database with all the proper instructions on how to get this, how to do the job effectively. And to put it in perspective, Ted, we've cleared just over 2 million vehicles since we've started. So that's a big number. We're proud of that number, and counting every single day.
2 million vehicles. That's a lot, but I think you're really just scratching the surface now with what's coming.
We're barely scratching the surface, Ted, with what's coming. Absolutely correct.
And to go back to my earlier question on compliance, there is a compliance feature in this because dealers want to be compliant, and you want to make sure that you're moving the data. And for customers who may or may not be thinking about it, you want to inform them that you've gone ahead and done this with their permission, of course, and make that part of the process. So, congratulations to you, Waverly, and
Thank you,
uh,
Ted.
great product, great new service. And all right, tell us again. I know we're coming back in a couple months. We're going to talk about this a little bit more with some retailers who are using this. But if our audience wants to get more information or has questions for you, Waverly, again, how do they reach out?
They can reach me at privacy4cars.com/dealers. I have a link on there. They can use that to schedule a meeting with me, or they can send an email directly to me at Waverly at privacy, the number 4cars.com. So Waverly at privacy4cars.com. And the last thing I'll say, Ted, when we talked about compliance is that, we really check 3 core boxes, right? So it's not just about compliance. But the first thing is that you're protecting your customers' information. We check that box. You're protecting the dealership risk. So we check that box. And last but not least, we also allow you to make revenue if that's what you choose to do, right? And if you think about it, so we're driving revenue, we're driving loyalty, and we're reducing risk. Those are 3 very important boxes for dealerships to look at these days.
Yeah, and I would imagine that, depending on what your product is, you can probably market this and position it and charge or not charge different ways depending on the product that you sell. And you know, very, very well thought out, Waverly. So congratulations to you on all the success that you're having with Privacy for Cars.
Thank you, Ted. I really appreciate your time today.
Everybody, for more information, Waverly Burt is available. You can reach out to him by email here at the bottom of the screen. Also, privacy4cars.com/dealers. And it's important and it's growing. And we mentioned part of the reconditioning process, but really part of the overall process of doing business today. So, Waverly Burt, everybody, with Privacy for Cars, here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you, Ted.